And whenever I played this to people, people are fascinated for a very short period, and then they become quickly irritated and bored because it just goes on and on the same
Mm.
thing forever. But I find it very, very cool. That's why I wanged it your way. Hey, everybody. Well, I wasn't expecting to do that again so soon. We had a lovely episode all lined up for you, ready to jump, parachute strapped, smoking its last cheroot, when basically a day before it was blocked. So I've managed to find another video, which I have shoehorned in to the episode, and I've kept most of Andy's reactions because he did a great job. But please bear in mind, this is a different video. And of course, the discussion afterwards is of the original one. I will put a link into the original video in the description below this episode so you can check it out for yourself if you feel the need. That being said, please enjoy the show.
Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. It's Andy and it's John and it's music. So let's get to it. John, you've got something for us to check out today. I'm going to go off and react to it and come back and we're going to discuss it. But I'm going to need to know the name of the artist and the name of the track first.
Okay, so as I said before, now for something completely different. Stay with me on this. So this is by an artist called Michael Nyman, who I briefly mentioned in passing regarding an episode previously. I can't remember which one it was. Actual fact, this is the Michael Nyman band, but you know. So yeah, I know. Well, I'm pretty sure that you don't really know who he is.
No. And
Okay,
I
cool.
have a vague recollection of you and the name coming up because it does sound
Yeah.
familiar. And I recall you bringing him up to me, but the truth of the matter is I don't even remember the context of how he was broached. So this is
Well,
going
I
to be
do, but I don't want to give it away. But I don't remember which episode it was, but I do know why. But
okay.
anyway, we'll get into that.
Okay.
So the track is called Time Lapse, and
Time
it
lapse.
is a live performance,
Oh, okay. Cool.
which is interesting.
Well, I will go let time lapse and give this a listen and come back and let you know what I think, man. It's like this beautiful staccato on the piano, and like it looks like the strings there. But then you just get this thunderous like brass sound there for a moment of dun dun dun. Yeah, that's really really interesting, powerful sound there coming out of those brass instruments that they've used to layer like clearly judiciously. This isn't a lot. That was just that one time. Um, but yeah, interesting how they did that. I like how these brass instruments are now doing more of these like sustained notes that are allowed to breathe. They're not the staccato that we were getting for a lot of the song. They're actually stretching things out a little bit with their sound over the staccato bits, and I think it sounds lovely. This flute fluttering around in this cacophony, it's like a butterfly caught in a like a you know a wind tunnel or something. It's really great. Wow. I was making sure that commercial didn't come on. That was really impressive. Some lovely arrangements. I just loved how everything sounded there. It was really, really great. Yeah, this was a nice change of pace, man. Um,
Mm.
you know, from a reaction video standpoint, and just in general, it's nice to listen to an instrumental, but when you're doing a reaction, it's really great because you don't have to, you could just focus on what the music is doing. You don't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to, it'd be like if one of us came on here and did like a spoken word poetry slam reaction, and all we had to do was listen to the words. It takes half the homework out of the equation, right? So, this was really, really pretty. It relied so heavily on staccato to I think make every part that thereafter that wasn't staccato kind of stick out or carry more weight and have more gravitas about it because you become so used to this punctuating sound of the rhythm that's going on here with the piano. And then they also hot potato some stuff too in this song. So like you'll start with like the bog standard, I think it was the piano and maybe the guy that was chilling on the electric bass and the cello, if I'm not mistaken. And they're doing like some staccato stuff. And then as that stuff, as that becomes established, you have the strings come in. And by the strings, I mean what I'm assuming is like viola and violin start to
Yeah.
add to this, staccato-y, punchy music, which is really, really great. And then around the 30-second marker, the higher string instruments cut out, and now we have them being replaced with the woodwinds, who again are doing this staccato-y type sound, but kind of carrying the mantle that was once carried by these higher pitched stringed instruments. And I thought that was really interesting too. And then we have this like interesting, assertive, but judiciously used like horn blast that is really loud and commanding,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
and it's almost like jarring when you hear it the first time, like and they use that a couple times. They like pepper that in there. And I thought that was really fun. I mean, watching the trombonist go at it was pretty fun. And you also have this the around the 128 marker, you get these French horn, saxophones, and trumpet join the song, and they add these like textured, stretched out
Mm.
motifs of music, and that again carries this different kind of gravity because it's not staccato. These are sustained notes, and they're more melodic, and it's an interesting juxtaposition to what they had kind of built up until this point. So I really enjoyed what they had to offer in this portion. It was kind of like a nice little change of pace. This the sax really shines for a moment, and there's really two saxophones we have here. We have like this like conventional alto saxophone, I think, which is played um by the guy that's sort of more in the foreground, and then the guy in the background, one of the at least two bald gentlemen that look like they were like twin brothers. One of them's playing the trumpet, I think the other one's playing the saxophone for the time being. And he's playing like this baritone saxophone. So they're kind of like the commingling of the two saxophone sounds are really nice. I enjoy them a lot. Um, and then as the song moves on, this portion kind of like evolves. There appears to be either the trumpeter or the saxophonist, because again, I can barely tell the difference between these guys, trades in their instrument for this flute, this lovely flute.
Mm.
And it creates this lovely melody that you can't think can get any higher, but as it progresses, like the pitch keeps getting higher and higher. And it's like fluttering, and it's almost like we talk about the visuals we get when we listen to music. It gave me this like butterfly in a hurricane type feel where it's like flying all around, and the cacophony of sounds provided by the other instruments are forming the funnel cloud in which it's caught. And I really, really enjoyed it. It keeps, as I alluded to earlier, it keeps ascending in like pitch until finally it reaches this climax and the song comes to an end. I'm gonna go ahead and shoot my shot and assume that Michael Nyman is the fellow with the like sort of Coke bodily sunglasses on the or sunglasses eyeglasses on the piano. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Um, yeah, this was really interesting. Um, Great arrangement. Musicianship command of the song. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, yeah, excellent. I thought it's something a bit different. Um, the reason I picked this is I've had this record in my collection for donkey's years. And the way I got into it is it's a soundtrack to a film called Z and Two Noughts, which is a Peter Greenaway film. He's a art house director, does really interesting and sort of off the wall, quirky films. His first film, or the first film I remember, he might have done one before. It's called The Draftsman's Contract, and that is only lighted by candlelight, the whole film.
Jesus.
Yeah, yeah, and it's done really well. It's beautiful. Um, and Nyman has done music to it, and I just this film is really cool, and the music was so arresting. And actually, the studio version is a lot more sparse and thrusting. And I don't remember the sort of fluty part in it actually. Perhaps it is, but this live performance had a bit more warmth to it, a bit more dynamics. So I just thought, as soon as I saw it, I thought, yeah, let's put this on
Mm.
the list. Yeah, it's something again, it's a bit different. I don't expect this to sort of buy subscribership by hundreds, or even get I mean past double figures viewing, I'll be happy. But I think people who know this or come across this and like this, I think will get something out of it. It's quite a intellectualized sort of brand of minimalist modern classical chamber music, whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it. um but yeah, I'll go into a little bit more about this and the album and the film and stuff, um, and the sort of pictures you may see in it. But just a bit about Michael Nyman. So yeah, this performance, just to say, sorry, was the Michael Nyman band. It was live in Halle in Germany, 2010. So Michael Lawrence Nyman is an English composer, pianist, librettist, musicologist, and filmmaker. It's a little blurb about him. So he's known for numerous film scores, many written during his lengthy collaboration with the filmmaker Peter Greenaway. and his multi-platinum soundtrack album to Jane Campion's The Piano, which won like 5 Oscars or 4 Oscars or whatever, a few years ago. He's written a number of operas, 6 concerti, 5 string quartets, and many other chamber works, many for his own band. So he was born in Stratford in London in 1944 to a family of secular Jewish furriers who immigrated from Poland. After studying at the Royal Academy of Music, he got a year-long residency in Romania, came back, wrote a libretto, made a film, did some other stuff, and then he settled into music criticism, where and this is like 1970, something around there. I mean, he was generally, no, 1968. So he was generally acknowledged to be the first person to apply the term minimalism to music in a 1968 article in the Spectator magazine about the English composer Cornelius Cardew. Never heard of him. So he was always writing, and one of his earliest film scores, I have not seen this, was for the 1976 British sex comedy Keep It Up Downstairs, followed by numerous films, many of which were European art house films, and his music kind of goes towards that. And he's done the soundtrack to 11 Peter Greenaway films, no, to many Peter Greenaway films, of which 1982 Draftsman's Contract, 1985 72 Noughts, 1988 Drowned by Numbers, which is a superb film, 1989 The Cook, the Thief, His Wife and Her Lover, which is probably the best known of Greenaway's films, Helen Mirren, Michael Gambon, all that, and 1991 Prospero's Books with John Gielgud as Prospero. Really cool, saw that in the cinema. In 1993, Nyman's popularity increased after he wrote the score to the aforementioned Oscar-winning film Piano. The album became a classical music best, over 3 million copies sold worldwide. His soundtrack won an Ivor Novello Award, a Golden Globe, BAFTA, an American Film Institute Award. So about this film, I'll give you a very brief sort of summary of it, because there's a lot to it. It's a bit odd. So there's two twin zoologists, Oswald and Oliver Juice. Their work studying the behavior of animals at a zoo when both their wives are killed in a car crash involving a large swan that crashes through the car windscreen. The woman who's driving the car, Alba Bewick, is not killed but has a leg amputated. She slowly loses limb after limb through the film for various reasons. Felix de Milo is a prostitute and a storyteller who plies a trade at the zoo, and she attempts to forge a relationship with the twins, ostensibly to help them recover from their loss. Meanwhile, Oswald and Oliver gradually become obsessed with images of growth and decay, watching videos on the origins of life and creating time-lapse videos of decomposing life forms. And on and on. So the soundtrack to this credits the Zoo Orchestra as performing, along with Alistair Bananescu and Elizabeth Perry on violins. Sarah Leonard voices one which has a vocal at the end, and Nyman on harpsichord. It's mainly harpsichord rather than piano. And he does this thing in various songs in this where he has a motif which he repeats for maybe 3 minutes. It can drive you a bit crazy listening to this album all in one go. It really can. And this is one of the most dynamic songs. But there are other ones that, at the start it goes dun, 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 dun. 3 minutes of that.
Oh,
Another one goes da, 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 and it's just 3 minutes of that. Yeah, so very cool, but you have to be in a certain mind space to listen to it, I guess. So the Michael Nyman Band was formed in 1976 as the Campiello Band for a production of the play Il Campiello. The band didn't want to break up when the stage run finished, so Nyman, as director, started writing pieces for them, and they became the Michael Nyman Band. So they performed most of the Greenaway film soundtracks. The membership to the Michael Nyman Band has been fluid. I counted 134 listed members, past and present.
Jesus.
It could well be a lot more. They've put out at least 40 albums, the last one in 2008. The Michael Nyman Orchestra has kind of superseded them in terms of more recent soundtrack albums, like very low-key European art house films. But the Libertine, which Johnny Depp starred in, they did the soundtrack to that. And the band also collaborates with artists outside the sort of usual Western classical music scene. So they work with Indian classical singers, Spanish flamenco singers, Japanese folk singers, jazz freestyle players, and artists like the Flying Lizards, Sting, Damon Albarn, and David McConnell.
Mm.
This concert at Studio Halle was part of a year-long celebration of Handel in his hometown. And this ensemble played selections from Nyman's film scores, like The Draftsman's Contract, Wonderland, and The Fair, as well as the German premiere of the Handel-inspired The Musicologist scores in honor of Handel's 250th birthday. Just to round this off, Michael Nyman was awarded the CBE for services to music in 2008. Sorry. Um, Other recipients on that same birthday honours list from the Queen were, and you may not know these people, but Des O'Connor, Gerald Scarfe, and Victoria Wood. Just throw that in there. I thought it was interesting. Um, Going back to the film and this actual song. So you got these twins and they're obsessed with death, and various things happen. They're trying to film their own decay, and there's lots of snails and stuff like this, and you go in the lab. So I see the music as being this slow trudging, like the trudge of life or the trudge towards death, and then it slowly embellishes. And I guess you got entropy or decay reveals other stuff as things break down. And then
Mm.
that bit towards the end is almost like turning into something else or grasping that actually life is worth hanging on to. And this flute sound is almost like the spirit of life or whatever flying out of the decay.
Mm.
That's kind of what I see in it, and lots
Okay.
of snails. I
Has he
don't know.
explained the musical representations at all? No.
Not
Okay.
at all. Not at all. And they fell out big time because after he did Prospero's books, which is Greenaway's version of The Tempest by Shakespeare, apparently, this isn't verified, but this is the goss, that Greenaway remixed Nyman stuff and put synthesizers in there as backing, and Nyman, without letting Nyman know, and he was fucking furious. And so that was it. You're dead to me now, and all that. And he doesn't speak well of him since. So yeah, interesting, interesting guy, interesting music. Some of his stuff really is very, very beautiful, and other bits are also this more minimalist approach, which I find really interesting. Um, and whenever I played this to people, people are fascinated for a very short period, and then they become quickly irritated and bored because it just goes on and on the same
Mm.
thing forever. But I find it very, very cool. That's why I wanged it your way.
No, no, it was a great selection. And I think I've said this before. I know you're aware of this, but like the first instruments I ever picked up were saxophone and violin. So it was fun
Mm.
to watch them do their thing. And
Yeah.
at different parts really shine. Like the not it was interesting because the passing of the baton back and forth on who's going to take the staccato part, but both at different times had opportunities to create more fuller sounds and stretched out sounds. Pardon me, and they all sounded great. It was really well done and well crafted, and it was a good listen. I really really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that is a flute or a piccolo at the end. It's also a very high, small sounding fluty instrument. It does steal the show to a certain extent because this
Yeah,
is this sprinkle of joy of a song that starts off very trudging and almost ominous.
yeah.
But I do love those shit foghorn blasts, like a bam bam. They're just so cool, and it really, wow.
Yeah, because
So
when we
yeah.
were talking about like whether or not there was like a codified explanation by the
Mm.
musician or the writer, Nyman in this case, about what things represented, I wanted to know what those sort of like horn blasts that he popped in there a couple times really represented in the process of decomposition over time.
Yeah, it's a long time since I've seen Z and Two Noughts. It was a cool art housey film. You imagine I would be about, I guess, 16 or 17 when I watched it, and it's like discovering shit like this for the first time, and watching French New Wave films, in black and white, and
Yeah.
where I'm speaking Gaulois. Oh, like watching things like Diva, which is another cool film with all the design to that and the operatics and the Gaulois stuff in that. It was, yeah, so cool. I mean, some of his other stuff does have hidden messages and things in it, particularly like Drowned in Numbers, because it's Drowned by Numbers, sorry, because that's has uh, numerical references throughout the film. And as you watch the film, you'll see the number 1 through to the number 100 appear in the
Oh,
film. And there's Peter Greenaway's films are really, really interesting. They can be a bit handsy wank, but
mm.
Cook the Thief and the Wife and His Lover is just a brilliant film. Really, really cool film. And I really, really like Drowning by Numbers as well. I like all of them actually. But there you go. So I'll wrap things up
Yeah,
and
thanks for
say
sharing, man.
thanks. Yeah, thanks for listening, Andy. Folks out there, tell us what you think if you're familiar with Nyman and his other works. I only really know the film score work. He has done some other pieces. Those are piano pieces which I download and listen to every now and then. But I'm not a real aficionado. So anyone else who knows more of their stuff, please drop some comments. Let us know what you think of this song and other stuff by Nyman, other film, Peter Greenaway stuff as well. Love to hear from you. If you like this, please do hit the like button. I think you might need all the help it can get. And if you haven't, please consider subscribing. We do really appreciate everybody that supports the channel and helps us grow. We're trudging onwards, slowly but surely, like gangrene, and we'll get there in the end. So yeah, that being said, thanks again so much for watching. I'll see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.